I help men reconnect with who it is that they actually are, because I believe that a lot of people that enter this world of self-growth and development and positive psychology and trying to become better do it with an unconscious, as an unconscious form of self-rejection. They do it from a place of like, hey, I'm not good enough. It's like the fundamental core wound of masculinity is like not good enough. And it's a coupling of self-worth and the ability to create resource and provide monetarily. And so as we uncouple that, we actually unlock our power to create much more in every area. And part of that is having access to our full energy physically, and having some level of stewardship over our emotions, so that we're not at the whim of them, but that we can really harness the power of emotion, tap into inspiration. But yeah, how I do that, we've created a couple of things in the Liberating Man community on Facebook is where you can find us. But we've created the framework for fulfillment, right? Which starts with having a clear and compelling purpose-filled vision for your life.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, everyone. So, as always, I'm here very excited for another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk with Alex Ramirez. I have a very special guest today, a very amazing guest, and we're going to be digging deep and picking his brain into how this guy has been able to conquer his life, his relationships, and his business, and how he has been able to not only do it in his own life, but is now helping other people. So right now I have a very special guest. His name is Alex Hayden. He's founder of Real Results Academy, and he's helping men. He's liberating men. That's what he's doing right now. And he went from being in prison. He went from having severe mental health issues, addiction, being fat, to now, well, look at him, right? And now he's thriving in his life, in his business, in his relationships, and he's making it easy and fun for other people to do the same. So welcome, man. I'm very glad and happy to have you here, and I'm very grateful for you being here. So welcome, man.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it.
So, man, the first thing that I tell my guests as soon as they come into the podcast, I want to put them on the line, and I tell them to introduce themselves and basically describe their journey, their entrepreneurial journey, and their life in 60 seconds or less. So let's see if you can do that, man.
Yeah, man, sure. Love the challenge. Introduce myself and describe my life and entrepreneurial journey in 60 seconds. Sure. So who I am, I'm a child of God. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a coach. I'm a rap artist. Let's see. And my entrepreneurial journey was like this. I started selling Cutco knives when I was 18 years old, have 5 years of my personal development, positive psychology, had a love relationship go south, which was the beginning of my 5-year period of personal destruction, culminating with me deciding to rob a pharmacy and getting the opportunity to go to prison. I was in prison. I had a paradigm shift and saw through the voice of a chaplain that God cared enough about me to pull me out of my circumstances, to give me an opportunity to see that I've been called to more in this life than how I've been living. And that's what he told me, and it resonated with my heart. And I got to work on myself and my health, on my spiritual relationship, and lost 70, 80 pounds, found a passion and purpose for helping other people get free of first the bondage of living in an unhealthy, overweight body, which evolved eventually into now what I'm doing, life coaching, what I call appreciative co-creation work with men, primarily liberating men's hearts and minds from the shackles of shame and guilt and frustration and toxic stress.
Damn. See, I really like this 60-second introduction, because now Now I feel like I know, no, well, not that I know you, but I have a lot to talk about. But man, like the first thing that I want to dive deep into is you said that you got the opportunity to go to prison.
Yeah,
How does
man.
that work?
Yeah, man. One of the best things that ever happened to me. So it was 2010. I was on the heels of probably the most difficult 2 years of my life after my mom passed away from cancer. After prior to that, year before she passed away, I had a kid by the girl who was a rebound from the first love loss that began the downward spiral. And yeah, and it was like my life was at an all-time low. And it was like I feel like this chaplain just spoke right to my heart when he said that God cared enough to pull me out of it. And that was the catalyst for the shift in my paradigm for me to see that like I was called to more in life than I've been living.
Cool. Cool, man. So I'm sorry to hear about your mom and stuff, man. So you had a kid.
Yeah, so interesting story. Like, or so I thought. I had a kid in 2007 by a girl who was a rebound from the first love loss, and then I found out 5 years later, upon release from prison and getting into working, that this child was actually not mine. Her name is tattooed on my chest, and that was also another uh, gift wrapped in challenge, because that opened up the space and the freedom for me to be able to marry the love of my life that I've been married now for 6 years and have two daughters with and have a beautiful life. And had I already had a kid, that would probably not be have happened as fluidly.
Okay, cool. Well, that's cool, but like not cool, right? But I mean, like if you look at the positive, if you look at it from a positive point of view, like you got a chance of redoing your life as a gentleman, right? From the beginning with your woman, right? With have a kids, build a family, an empire, and keep on growing it with her. So, man, so the idea of becoming a gentleman is achieving true freedom, right? It's gentleman being a gentleman is about being committed to thriving in every area of your life, which is something that you help other men do, right? Other people do. So, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'd love to do that. Um, So I like your definition of gentleman as someone who is committed to thriving in every area of your life. And I agree that the four major areas, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, I would say, relationally, you call that, I think, sentimentally, you said, and then financially and time, mastery of energy over time. Um, but yeah, so I help men reconnect with who it is that they actually are, because I believe that a lot of people that enter this world of self growth and development and positive psychology and trying to become better do it with as an unconscious form of self rejection. They do it from a place of like, hey, I'm not good enough. It's like the fundamental core wound of masculinity is like not good enough, and it's a coupling of self-worth and the ability to create resource and provide monetarily. And so as we uncouple that, we actually unlock our power to create much more in every area. And part of that is having access to our full energy physically, and having some level of stewardship over our emotions, so that we're not at the whim of them, but that we can really harness the power of emotion, tap into inspiration. But yeah, how I do that, we've created a couple of things in the Liberating Man community on Facebook is where you can find us. But we've created the framework for fulfillment, right, which starts with having a clear and compelling purpose-filled vision for your life. And actually, realistically, it starts with the foundation of identity, having a consciously created identity, because who it is we actually are is like your personality, your persona is all a self-creation. It's all a mask. It's all it's decisions we made about who we are based on what we experienced, based on what needed to keep us safe or keep us from losing love, or who we thought we needed to be to get love. And all that happened typically before we're 10 years old. So the start is we look at all of that, we bring that into conscious creation, and we see what aspects of that are useful still, and then what aspects are maybe inhibiting to our full freedom and power. And then we begin to bring the light of consciousness to that, recreate that, so that we can begin to see a clear and compelling vision for our life. And then we work through the framework, which I'm happy to go into a little bit more if you're curious.
Cool, man. And so I like it a lot. So there's a lot to talk to right here, right? So I like the idea of conscious creation, right? The idea of going back into your past, stepping into the pain to be able to gain power from it, right? And be able to release it. And now that you are like an acceptance with yourself and with everything that is holding you back at a subconscious level, you are the conscious creator of the future of the future that you ultimately desire. That's amazing, man. And another thing that I wanted to talk about is about fulfillment, right? You mentioned that fulfillment is a purpose-filled vision. Is that what you said? Purpose-filled vision?
So that's a piece of it. So we like the structure we've created is the framework for fulfillment. A piece of that is the consciously created identity. If you think about it like a house, and then the roof is like a purpose-filled vision, like a compelling vision. Like Tony Robbins talks about the two things that you need to be happy and successful in life, or like a positive identity and a compelling vision. We've expanded on that, like a positively, consciously created identity and a purpose-filled, expanding, compelling vision, right? So a vision that's in alignment with your purpose. And then there are a few other things that you need as well that we can talk about. But yeah, and I'll just run through them real quickly. So the four pillars are freedom first, right? Freedom first to have access to the fullness of our consciousness, right? Because if we are not free, if we are limited and inhibited by negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, poor physical health, toxic relationships, that there's these limitations on our consciousness, then we don't have the fullness of it to enter the next F, which for me is asking the question of like, what would be the most fun way to create the vision? Because there's a psychological phenomenon that's fact that it takes about 400 repetitions to create a new neurosynapse in the brain, or it takes about 10 to 20 when you're in play. So by being in play and having fun, you can literally accelerate the learning curve by is it 10 to 20 or 20 to 40 times? I think it's 20 to 40 times. 20 to 40 times faster you create new neural pathways through play. And so we make life a game first, we make it fun first, then from fun we can choose where we want to focus the fullness of our energy and attention once it's uninhibited and free in a moment. And if we know like 30,000 foot view, the grand vision of our life, and we know who we are, and that's a conscious continual self-creation, then we can dive into the weeds of where we want to focus that energy and attention with play, which allows us to access flow, which I love flow. I'm a student, I'm a teacher, I'm a practitioner of flow. As you can hear that I'm also a rapper, so I freestyle rap, and I get into rhymes sometimes, and it flows and it goes. But flow is the peaceful, powerful, playful, joyful dance of life, relation, and creation, right? And so when we can access and cultivate the state of flow in every realm, then we can tap into the best of who we are, and success becomes an effortless, authentic expression of who we actually are at the deepest level. And then that's what my definition of harmonious flow or holistic fulfillment.
Man, I don't know what I loved the most about what you just said. I don't know if it was the information that is completely life-changing and out of this world, right? Like if you take all of that and you apply it, like holy shit, you're gonna be able to make some changes in your life. I don't know if what I loved the most was the information or the flow that you said it with, and the rhymes and everything. So man, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I like what you said about unlocking freedom, right? And that you cannot like like putting it in my own words, you cannot achieve like your full potential. You cannot achieve a state of flow if you don't unlock freedom. Like what does that mean? What does unlocking freedom means? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's really two energies, right? And some would call it the energy of love, the energy of fear, but at its base level, it's the energies of contraction or constriction and the energies of expansion, right? And actually, up until recently, I used to consider the energies of contraction negative, and I still do to a degree, but they're actually required, they're necessary, right? In order to like have full freedom and flow. It's like in order to grow, we need that contraction. It's like if I give you a spring, in order to make a spring work, you have to compress it, right? Like the first 10 years of our life it's required for us to go through some pain and some shame and some hardship and some shit, pardon me, I don't know if we swear on this podcast, but some blame, some like in order to like develop and like have these negative core beliefs come up so that we can instill or access the law of polarity, where we can consciously create the polar opposite. And it's that tension that creates the magic of creation. And so it's like, yeah, so like freedom is the freedom to love and allow who it is that we are, even with the negative self-judgment, and to have the freedom to consciously create the polar opposite so that we can create this kind of positive tension, this structural tension required for powerful creation.
Amazing. Cool, man. So,
but I wanted to expand on that. So speaking to freedom though, like if we most people, I would say, are kind of stuck in patterns of constriction and constraint.
mm-hmm.
And if we don't, it's like if we don't unlock that, then we remain like a spring that's bound up, and people get tense and they get overstressed, and this is like where all of the the mental manifestations of mental illness come from: depression, anxiety, toxic stress. It's like there's no release, and so it's like when we figure out how to unclip that release and we can access this tremendous energy, otherwise it gets bound up and creates dis-ease in the body. And that's literally where all disease, cancer, everything comes from, is from unprocessed, unexpressed mental and emotional stress.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely. I've heard of this. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago, about I started digging deep into this Master Chia. I don't know if you've heard about him. It's about like ejaculate less sex, and about like the energies, and how emotions get stuck in like your organs and stuff, right? And like the emotions, negative emotions and stuff, is the cause and the root of all of the other all of other really harmful diseases and stuff. So yeah, like I've started learning about that, and it's absolutely interesting, man. So yeah, that was great. So then that is how you unlock freedom, right? Like that what you just went through, which I'm not gonna try to repeat, right? Is how you unlock freedom. So releasing, right? Digging deep into the not only the negative side of yourself, and accepting that and releasing that. And then the way that you build flow and the way that you build flow and fulfillment is now by looking at the other side, at the positive side, and positively creating and consciously creating, right, your own identity and your own vision. Is that right?
Yeah, and part of like what you said, just to expand on that, like how you unlock freedom is being willing to face the dark parts of yourself, the things that you're ashamed of. It's forgiveness, it's loving and accepting those parts. Like I'm part of the work that I do is like shadow work. Are you familiar with shadow? Have you talked about that with anybody before? So shadow is in Jungian psychology, it's the parts of ourself that we tend to hide, repress, and deny. And it's like a lot of times we do this self-development work to like cover that up. But like the work that I love to do, and I feel is most liberating, which is liberating man, is we face that shit. We go into the darkness, we face our shame, and we love ourselves through it. We forgive ourselves through it, and that's what creates the healing. We got to face it, we got to feel it to heal from it, and then that creates the spaciousness in our being to implant a new self-creation, a new declaration. This is why affirmations backfire on a lot of people, is because they try to say these things, these positive things over themselves, but unconsciously, subconsciously, their psyche is like, bullshit, I don't believe it. No,
You're just
right?
lying.
Yeah, you're just lying. And now I don't like myself even more because now I'm a liar. But if you face that and you like go into that darkness, it's like that's what allows you to, kind of alchemize it, like to transmute that pain into power, so that you can really be fully free and own and integrate even those parts of yourself that you might hate right now.
Cool. That's a lot, man. And yeah, that sounds really awesome. It sounds like a really interesting journey, that one can take himself through to grow. Man, so
I would I would
the,
I would offer one thing on that, that like it's not something I don't think men can take themselves through. And this is why like I have coaches, I have guides, I have like I
okay.
continue to do this work. It's like you can do a lot on your own and learning and self-reflection, and you could do a lot. And it's like we're meant to do life together, and we can't see what we can't see. I can't see my blind spots, right? If I got a nail in the back of my head and I'm just
Hmm.
like trying to do all my, and I can only see what I can see. But you could come along and you could see that and be like, yo, bro, let me help you see this so we can pull it out together and we can like feel that pain and heal that, right? It's like, so I just wanted to say that because it's like, and then I think that's one of the core myths of masculine expansion is that we have to do it alone. We're told we got to figure it out on our own. And like you and I know as coaches, it's like we hire and we invest in people to help us see what we can't see and help us, face and address and feel and heal through the things that, we can't do on our own.
Yeah, we're told that we have to do it on our, by ourselves, that we don't have to tell anybody, that that we can cry, that we can have emotions, that we have to suppress it, shove it, don't feel it. But that's just not true, man. So you're definitely right. So, man, I think we have just a couple of minutes, right? It was just going to be a really quick podcast. So I like to end, right, this podcast with asking 5 questions, right? Like the end of this podcast is 5 questions. So the first question is, if you could travel back in time and give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would you say to him?
Mm, mm. I would say, man, love yourself, forgive yourself, and get around good people.
Love yourself, forgive yourself, and get around good people. This is exactly what I'm doing, man. This is why I'm
Yeah,
doing what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing this, right? To get around good people, right? And then love yourself. Like, people don't understand the meaning of loving yourself. Like, people cannot grasp what it means to love themselves. And like, if they could grasp the meaning of what it is to love yourself, like, they would be able to solve all of their problems, right? So yeah, it
100%.
has a
Yeah,
deep meaning.
learning to love yourself, Gay Hendricks, is a beautiful book.
Learning to love yourself. What? I'm sorry, did I hear you?
Learning to Love Yourself by Gay Hendricks. He also wrote The Big Leap and some other books. Beautiful book that, and yeah, I think it's like a buzzword nowadays, like, hey, love yourself, self-love, but like actually doing it, like
Yeah.
internally and externally, like, yeah, it's powerful stuff. But
Cool.
yeah,
That's
let's
why I'm
go.
learning the Master Shia thing, right? The inner smile, right?
Yeah,
Because if you take care of yourself, of your organs and stuff, right? Your body and your organs are the temple of God.
yeah,
You want him to be with you, then love yourself, right? So the
yeah.
second question, man, great book recommendations, by the way, is what is the one mindset shift or breakthrough that you've made that you can share that made you level up in
Mm,
every area of your life? Like, one mindset shift that you could give to someone that
yeah,
if they take it and apply it, they're going to be able to level up, apart from loving yourself.
it's right here in my hat. Is we are created to create. We create everything that we experience. We are the creators, and when we reclaim that power, and we co-create with God, but it's like we are created in the likeness and image of the creator to create, including our purpose and why we're here. Like, so many people look for purpose for their whole lives, but it's like, hey, you're created, create it. And if you create it and it resonates with your heart, so it's something one of my coaches calls the creating perspective, is that you are the creator of who you are, of your purpose, and everything that you experience. We create. One of the things I say in my coaching all the time is, and I create how I relate to everyone and everything. And so if I'm experiencing something I don't love, then how am I creating that experience? And now what would I love to create instead?
Cool.
Yep.
And then you can attach that to taking responsibility, which would also solve a lot of the problems that people have, right?
Let me
Um,
speak to that real quick. Responsibility has a negative connotation in a lot of people's minds. It feels weighty and heavy, but in its root, response, it means ability to respond. So one of my self-creation declarations is I am response able and I do not need to respond. I am not
cool.
compelled. I have no obligation. Anyway,
Cool. Response able. You're able to respond, right?
Yeah, it's not this heavy weight of obligation and I have to and I got to and I should. By the way, should is the language of shame. Don't should on yourself. That's the second number one advice that I would give.
Should, would, could have, you should have, would have, could have, right?
Yeah.
You must, right? So, what strategy or tactic tool do you use to make sure that there's always clarity in your life, right? Because clarity for me is something really important. So, is there a tactic, a strategy, or a tool that you would tell people about for them to have clarity in their life?
Yeah. Exactly what I'm doing now. Pause, breathe, go within. It's like the answers are all within you and your heart and your connection with source, God, love, whatever you want to call it, Allah, divine consciousness, Christ consciousness. It's all in here. And it's like, if this resonates with you, it's only because I'm resonating with the part of your heart that's true. Right? Like my job as a coach is to hold up the mirror and show people their greatness and help them live from there.
Everything that you said has resonated with me, man. You're a little bit more like articulate, and you're a little bit more like better at saying all the things that you say. But everything that you've said has been resonating with me, and it's been stuff that I've been working through for the past 2 years of my life, right? So sitting, breathing, and going within is something that I do every single morning, and that's where I got the morning revelations from. I don't know if you can see them on my Facebook. Every single day, there's a a lesson that I extract from myself, right? Something that life is trying to teach me, and the way that I'm able to step into it is by sitting with me and breathing and going within. So yeah,
love it.
So all right, so the two more. All right, two more. So
yep.
What do you think is the one most important habit for you that has contributed greatly to your success? So one most important habit.
I would say that's a recent revelation, and that is my morning self-creation practice. And that was taught to me by my coach, who's an incredible man and coach, John Patrick Morgan, who created the Creating Perspective. But it's self-creation, so it's the act of, like, after pausing, breathing, and going within. There's a lot to it, so I'm going to shorten it, but it's just writing out who I am and then speaking that into existence in a way that is true for me and resonates, right? So it's utilizing the four powers we've been given: the power of thought, the power of feeling, the power of speaking words, and action. It's culminating all of those, and like, as the first thing that I do, quiet with coffee, writing, and then speaking lovingly into being who it is that I am.
Amazing, man. Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of people would not do that because they think that is taking away time from their strategies and tactics, right?
Yeah.
So last one, 30-second thoughts, 30 seconds. What are your thoughts on like tracking yourself and measuring yourself and having KPIs in every area of your life? And give an example of like some KPIs that you have that is not in business.
Yeah. I've had varying degrees of relationship with this thing. I do believe what is measured is able to be managed. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, you can't improve it. And I think it's also one of the greatest sources of shame for people is, and it has been for me, like setting goals and then not achieving them, or tracking targets and then like we're halfway through the month and we're not on target, so we just say F it and we eat whatever, or we do whatever, or we say whatever.
Yeah.
That being said, I think creating a loving and committed relationship to whatever it is you're creating, and then creating a system for tracking and checking in that keeps you inspired, that keeps you like, because like if you set a goal and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to do $1 million this month, and then like halfway through the month you're at like $2,000, it's like it could be discouraging, right? So it's like it's setting like targets and objectives that are a stretch, but not outside of the realm of your mind. So, and then you said, for an example of something that I track, I'm pretty free flowing with a lot of things. And it's like, I used to do it with my weight, but now that's like right where I want it to be. And so it's actually more, it's my energy and my spirit. And I just check in with that like hundreds of times throughout the day. Like, am I in inspiration, and am I in alignment, and am I feeling inspired? And if I'm not, like, what needs to be forgiven, what needs to be released, like, and I just pause and breathe and go within and release. So like, that's my, and just staying tuned into my inner signal and coming from love. I've got my like ways of being here, like knowing when I'm in resistance. And so like my ways of being that are written right here are unconditionally loving, wanting nothing, resisting nothing, outwardly focused and giving, and then curious with a light sense of humor. And with that, like, I tune into that. I stay on track, and I, just continue to rap.
Amazing, man. So, man, I've resonated a lot with you. I bet that other men who are trying to become gentlemen, other men who are trying to thrive in their life, in their relationship, and in their business, other men who are trying to step into their purpose, right, into feeling fulfilled and unlocking more freedom and unlocking more flow in their life, are probably trying to do this, and they would love to tap into your content, tap into who you are. So what is the best way to like get in touch with you or like get more of you, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you asking. Facebook and the Liberating Man group. So for men, yeah, hit me on Facebook, direct message me, and or just jump in the community. There's a bunch of free content in there. You can check out the framework for fulfillment, like our take on the 7 freedoms. Yeah, I've got a few incredible partners in there. So yeah, and then just reach out. Like I love connecting with people who want to grow, and yeah, happy
awesome,
to do
brother.
it.
Well, thank you very much. I know that you have a call, right? So, man, I'll let you go. And thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, man. And yeah, talk to you later.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. And I just want to take a minute to acknowledge you, bro, for like who you are, who you are being, and what you're up to in the world, man. So my rap name is Catalyst, and I recognize you as a catalyst for all the things that I stand for freedom, for connection, for possibility, for peace, for power and love, man. And I see it, I feel it, and I experience it in you, brother. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
That's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm trying to motivate, inspire, and bless other men. So thank you, man. Thank you.
Likewise, brother. All right, man. Have a great one. We'll talk soon.
You too. Thank you for watching the Gentleman's Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms